Okay, there we go. Thank you, Jalissa. We appreciate you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first City of Brookhaven Social Justice, Race, and Equity Commission meeting. Today is December 17th, 2020. I am John J. Funny, and I will be presiding this evening. The Social Justice, Race, and Equity Commission public meeting has been called on matters pursuant to the Mayor and City Council's approved resolution 2020-09-01 to establish the Social Justice, Race, and Equity Commission as specified on tonight's agenda. This meeting is called to order. I want to thank Councilwoman Madeline Simmons for authoring the piece of legislation to establish this commission. And I want to thank the Mayor and Council for voting unanimously and carrying out the duties of the leadership role for this great city. I would like to also say thank you to those of you who have been selected to serve as a member of this commission. I'm so grateful to each of you for your commitment to this task. And I look forward to working with each of you as a team on this task. Your volunteerism is an act of service to the City of Brookhaven, and we say thank you. As a way of introduction, I will call the roll in alphabetical order and have each commission acknowledge themselves. If you can go ahead and remove yourself from mute, that means we can move really quickly through this. Commissioner Alexander.
Present. Good evening.
Commissioner Alvarez.
Here.
Commissioner Anwer. Commissioner Arif.
Present.
Commissioner Barrera. Commissioner Becerra.
Present.
Commissioner Bowden.
Present.
Commissioner Burnett.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Kane.
Present.
Commissioner Curiello.
Present.
Commissioner Collins.
Present.
Commissioner Cortez.
Present.
Commissioner Corn.
Present.
Commissioner Cruz.
Present.
I'm sorry, did I hear Commissioner Cruz?
Yeah, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Sunny, I'm here. Commissioner Hardy.
Present.
Commissioner Hershen. Commissioner Henson.
That's me. Yep.
Commissioner Knight. Commissioner Knight. Commissioner Minor.
Present.
Commissioner Moses.
Here.
Commissioner Murthy Wall.
Present.
Commissioner Naglish.
Naglish here.
Naglish, thank you. Commissioner Nelson. Commissioner Nais. I may mispronounce that one.
Nisi.
Nisi, thank you. Commissioner Owen.
Present.
Commissioner Pates-Hole. Commissioner Pates-Hole. Commissioner Palmer. Commissioner Pascual.
Present.
Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Thomas.
Present.
Commissioner Todd.
Present.
Commissioner Torres.
Present.
Commissioner Wells.
Present.
Commissioner Wendell.
Present.
Commissioner Woodward.
Here.
And Commissioner Wright.
I'm here and it's Hudson. It's Wright Hudson, but it's Hudson.
Thank you for the correction. We'll add hyphen Wright Hudson. We made it through the list. Thank you very much for acknowledging your presence here. At this time, we will have a moment of inspiration, moment of reflection, and we will ask our Commissioner Alexander to provide us with a moment of inspiration.
Wonderful. Good evening. Thank you,
Good evening.
Mr. Chair. It's a pleasure to be serving with all of you. I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone and to doing this great work. As we begin tonight, I am struck at the auspicious nature that gathers us together entering into the darkest time of the year and surrounded by holidays and traditions of light. Tonight, as we begin this historic journey, we remember the sacred traditions of light that accompany our work. Hanukkah, which concludes tomorrow night, the winter solstice, which comes next week, followed by Christmas and Kwanzaa, among others. And so I found a poem by Barry Middleton entitled "The Light of Justice." I wandered in the dark and dismal night and wondered at the beauty of the stars. I pondered cruelty on the planet Earth and desolation on the planet Mars. Perhaps the bleak infinity of space reveals the soul of justice and of peace. Far from prison of mortal flesh, we may yet find freedom of release. But we do not wait for gods to show the way, for it is taught in every faith and school. The prophets and the mystics lit the lamp that glows within a simple golden rule. And when humanity applies that rule, the light of justice, peace, and righteousness still has a chance to burn within our hearts and deep within our human consciousness. And so these, along with other sacred traditions, remind us of the task that is before us, the task of being a light bearer, that the light of justice, equity, and peace only reach those who suffer in the shadows of unchecked bias, discrimination, and prejudice if we who are tasked with the lanterns and vision do not reach out for each other and build lasting structures that share that light with all. And so as we begin this journey, may we bring our lanterns to the table and build that structure that will shine a light throughout this city and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Alexander. Next before us on the agenda, we will adopt the agenda as presented. Each commissioner should have received the agenda. Going forward, the agenda will be sent to you directly, as well as it will be posted on the city's website. You're able to pull it from there also. We will be following Robert Rules of Order. So at this time, I will entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda. Please, and when you make a motion for the record for recording purposes, please state your motion and your name.
I, Josh Richardson, move that we adopt the agenda.
I, Jim Moses, second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second that we adopt the agenda as presented. Is there any unreadiness? Any unreadiness on the agenda that's before you, before us? Okay. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
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 All right, and this is the easy part. All those who oppose state nay and state your name. All right, I think ayes have it. So thank you all for adopting the agenda this evening. We're so pleased to be joined by our mayor of our great city and our great mayor. At this time, I would like to introduce, before I do that, let me read some items that I must put into record before we bring up our mayor. I do apologize. We ask that you mute your devices when you're not speaking, and we ask that you turn off or silence your cell phones. The agenda, again, has been forwarded to you, each commissioner, and it's available to the public on the city's website. If you wish to make a comment during the public comment portion of this meeting, you may do so by one of four methods. You may email us at sjrec@Brookhaven, Georgia, brookhavenga.gov. You can visit the city's SJREC website and submit a comment. You can also write your comment in the Zoom chat section, or you can raise your hand in the Zoom area and at the appropriate time, and we will actually move you over so that you can speak. Please be respectful and courteous as you are addressing this body. Any unruly, rude, or profanity-laced comments will be muted or removed. No, say that fast 5 times. Will be muted or removed from the Zoom meeting session. Please govern yourself accordingly. Commissioners, if you have a question or comment during the meeting, I will pause after each presenter to entertain your questions and recognize you at that time. You may also use the Zoom chat feature and type your question. Additionally, you may raise your hand, your Zoom hand, signifying that you wish to speak. Public comment portion of this meeting will last a maximum of 30 minutes. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes, thereby providing an opportunity for 10 speakers. If a speaker wishes to speak beyond the 30 minutes time frame, he or she will be transferred to the speakers list for the next commission meeting. As a courtesy to others, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes or less. We do not want to rush anyone, but we do want everyone to be heard. Social justice, race, and equity issues can be an emotional issue. I'm going to ask everyone to refrain from any personal comments and keep the discussion on the issue of social justice, race, and equity. No applause, clapping, or yelling. After hearing from those wishing to speak, or after the 30 minutes window, the public comment section of the agenda will be closed. Please keep in mind, over the next year or so, this commission will hear from several individuals and entities. This commission will only gather information to prepare a set of recommendations to be made to the mayor and city council. This commission does not approve policies. This commission only serves as a body to make recommendations to the mayor and council for consideration. With that, I will now proceed with the agenda. Now I have the great honor of introducing to some and presenting to others our mayor, Mayor John Ernst, the mayor of City of Brookhaven.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you all commissioners and everyone for spending your time doing this. There's not a more noble and worthwhile goal than what you guys are embarking on. You know, when we approved this Social Justice Commission, my biggest concern is I did not want a commission that just checked the box. That I could say, or any one of the elected officials could say, hey, we have the Racial Justice Commission, yay for us. I wanted something to really dive deep, to take a look at our culture, to take a look at all the societal issues, and to make recommendations, as Chairman Funny has said. I know this commission's not going to solve the world's problems. I know but it is a small step to doing that. This is a journey of 500 years, and we are embarking on that. You know, this obviously is, we know we are, we're living in times of great distrust, of great upheaval, of great fear. And it's showing throughout the community and in the world through almost every different mechanisms, elections, violence, and brutality. And what I wish for this commission is that you to take a look at that everyone, to take everyone's voice, but also to think to themselves, how does this end? And this may not end in 5 years. We know it won't. It may not end in 10 years. It may not be 200 years. But what little step we can make as a city to help bring social equity and justice for all. Again, I commend you guys for doing this. It's a thankless task. I'd like to thank the council for recommending and approving it. Thank Commissioner Funny Chairman Funny now to run this. want a real honest debate. There will be disagreements. We all have different perspectives of life. We all come from different places. None of those should be dismissed no matter what place they come from. And so, again, want us to be, for those who don't know me over a whole lot and don't know all the stuff the city does, we strive to try to be the most innovative city we can be on almost everything we do. We don't like to do it, for lack of a better term, I don't, break the room, half-ass. I guess broke a decorum there. I'm sorry, Chairman Funny. We want to do things that will bring impact, not for our city and for the rest of the community. And though I believe a city just like Brookhaven can come up with innovative approaches that can be made across the entire country. I've been on countless national meetings about police reform and such, and Black Lives Matter and all those things with leaders throughout. And I can tell you, a lot of the things that people say, well, why don't you do that? Why didn't you do this? A, B, and C, whatever it is. I'm like, well, okay, we already do that. Yep, we already do that one. And I'll hopefully look forward to you guys understanding that, but also what's next. I'm a progressive, which means to me that I'm here, I want to get to there. I don't know if I'm going to get there immediately, but I'm going to do the steps to get to that point. And that's what I believe progression is. So again, thank you guys so much. Look forward to the report. I'm not going to be on every call. And I don't think most of the councils will be, because we are, I'm one to allow the process to be play out publicly and on their own without interference. So if you have any questions or comments to me, obviously email me, call me on my cell phone. It's out there all over the place. 404-664-8694 for those who don't have it. And if you have issues, just let me know. But good luck, and look forward to the report.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your leadership and the vision in carrying our city forward into the future. And you mentioned a word about innovation, and this is truly an innovative step for the city of Brookhaven. So thank you, and we look forward to working with you as we go throughout the course of activities for this commission. I mentioned earlier that the piece of legislation was authored by Councilwoman Madeline Simmons, and I noticed she's here. So I would ask Councilwoman Madeline Simmons if she have some words, welcoming words to the commission.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. It's so nice to see your smiling faces on the Zoom call. I'm so grateful that we can still do meetings, even though we're in the pandemic. So I appreciate everybody's flexibility and being comfortable with being on Zoom. Want to thank Chairman Funny and the city staff for all of the hard work getting this together. The last couple of months we've been talking about this since June. I obviously was very passionate about these issues and just thrilled to see it come together, and really want to give the biggest thank you to all of you for volunteering your time. As Chairman Funny said, this is true service to the city, and I believe that we all get better as a community when we can take opportunities to serve our neighbors. So I'm very thankful. I'm really looking forward to the innovative recommendations as mentioned by the mayor, and want to thank the mayor himself for his leadership as well. If anybody needs anything from me, please feel free to reach out. Like the mayor mentioned, I won't be on all of these meetings, but happy to be available whenever needed. Thank you again.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We appreciate you, along with the mayor, for the great leadership that's being provided to the city of Brookhaven. Next up, we have a great team of leaders at the city of Brookhaven, and it's just not our mayor and council, but we have a great team of leaders that's, making everything happen on a daily basis. So I would like to introduce our city manager, Kristen Sigmund, and his team. And Kristen will actually introduce the city personnel that's with us today. Kristen, are you here?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your service. I'm going to keep it really short because you're going to hear from me a little later in the agenda tonight. I do want to introduce the staff that are directly supporting this effort tonight and will be your day-to-day contact, even though we'll bring in other resources across the city organization to assist this commission as necessary. Driving this meeting today is Julissa Canas. You want to wave? Where are you at, Julissa? You probably all dealt with her. Also, she is bilingual, so we will be able to address any needs in those areas. Also helping drive the meeting today is Zach Nikonovich Khan. Zach, where are you at? I saw him on here, but Jack is
I'm here.
or Zach.
There he is.
Welcome, Zach. He just got off another Zoom meeting with Councilmember Jones. He's a busy guy. Zach works as the executive assistant to the mayor and the council. Julissa's in our communications department. Of course, I'm the city manager, and we'll bring in other resources as we need. Assisting the administration is Valerie Lemmy. Now, Valerie, where are you at?
Here I am.
Wait. All right. Valerie's a close friend and I've known for a long, long time as a colleague. And Valerie is the director of exploratory research at the Kettering Foundation, which is an amazing organization that graciously offered to help us in this effort pro bono. And it's a world-class organization. Valerie, you want to talk a little bit about what you do and what you all bring to the table?
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, Christian. Again, my name is Valerie Lemmy, and I work for a foundation who is responsible for researching how to make democracy work as it should. We were founded in 1928, and our president and CEO, Dr. David Matthews, has over 40 years of experience in researching how citizens and institutions can come together to solve shared public problems. And we are happy to share that research with you. And we have worked in a variety of communities across the globe. We have networks and relationships in over 88 countries, including Russia, China, and Cuba. And we do what we can, and we learn from the work that others do by talking about how to engage in public problems, to work together. The term we use is to co-produce or to complementary act together on shared problems. And the emphasis that democracy works as it should when citizens are at the center. Again, any of our publications are available to you free of charge, and however we as an organization can be helpful to you as you think about the ways you hope to engage others, as you think about how to talk about these very challenging issues that we face across our nation, we will do what we can to provide support and assistance. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be a part of this very important work, and I look forward to being a resource for all of you as the months proceed. Thank you very much, Christian, and thank you, Mr. Funny.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you, Valerie. Also helping this effort, and it might be the most important part of the effort, is our professional facilitator. This is an very important work here that will extend over a long period of time, and it will need structure and someone to bring us back in line. And what we've done is the city council's approved bringing on a professional facilitator, and in that we hired Chrysalis Lab, and this is exactly the type of work that they do. And I'd like to introduce Leslie Grady, and she will introduce her team.
Thank you, Christian. On behalf of Chrysalis Lab, it's a pleasure and an honor to act as facilitator for the Social Justice, Race and Equity Commission. I come to you with many years of experience, most recently as a senior exec at the Community Foundation for Greater Atlanta. And during that time, I've been actively engaged in both regional and hyperlocal initiatives in partnership with many of you on the screen, the Atlanta Regional Commission, and many others. I am also joined on the team with my partner, Kim Anderson, who many of you may know as well. And for some reason, Kim texted me and told me she's not on camera, but we will make sure that you will get to know her over the next years. Kim has led some of the largest nonprofits in the region, serving children and families, including Aid Atlanta, and most recently, Families First. And she is co-principal with me in Chrysalis Lab. And then we have Mindy Cow. And Mindy, would you raise your hand? Who's going to be our project manager and engagement specialist and glue for so much of the work. Mindy has spent the last several years providing funding and even more hands-on coaching to grassroots communities and activists seeking to create change in their community. So again, I get to join you a little later on as well, but it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening.
Thank you, Leslie. This team here, the city staff, Valerie's organization, Chrysalis Lab, we're here to help you do your work, and it is work. As city manager, I will not tell you what to do. I'll let you all slug it out, talk it out, work it out, and I might weigh in every now and then if it's something that's just not physically possible by the laws of physics. With that, I'm going to turn it back to Chairman Funny and to do the commission member introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Sigmund, and thank you and your team, and thank you, Valerie and Leslie, for really being here and escorting us through this opportunity, this exercise. I think it's really good to have our reach with the Kedlin Foundation, because this is going to be very helpful. And I believe there are a lot of best practices out there that we're going to leverage off of. So Valerie, thank you. Thank you for being here. And Leslie, we're looking forward to it. Thank you as well. And it's great to have such a local touch to this and a national touch, international touch, because with those two elements, we will have success, because we're able to look at things on how it's being done in other cities or the jurisdictions. And Valerie, we don't steal, but we borrow ideas from people. So thank you, Valerie, for being with us.
Flat out steal, Chairman. Come on,
we borrow. Also with us this evening, I'm really excited. This is a great opportunity to work with each of you. And as our city manager mentioned, we have a lot of work to do, but I'm really excited because not only do we have the mayor and one council person, we have two council persons with us this evening. Councilman Joe Gibbia is with us. And Joe, where are you? Councilman Gibbia? I know he's here. I saw him.
He was over in the attendee side. Did someone bring him
no,
over?
he was on mute like Joe always is.
Oh. Councilman, there you go.
I'm here, yes. Well, thanks, Johnny. I'm not going to take more than 30 seconds. Historic moment for Brookhaven, unanimous decision to create this commission. You've had great guidance from our infamous city manager, who does a wonderful job in everything that he does. I really applaud the mayor for his leadership role in this, and you've got the best of leadership on the commission with John Funny. So with that, best of luck to you all, and really going to be watching, and we're here if you need us. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you for your support, Councilman, and we really appreciate your leadership as well with the other council person and our mayor to make sure that our city remains the innovative best city in the state of Georgia. So thank you. All right. Jalissa, do we have the slides up for our commission members? You're going to show that for me, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
So let's see.
There we go. All right, so I'm going to go through and introduce the members. We'll have an opportunity to share this with each commission member so that you'll have an opportunity to see who's with us. Next slide, you can. That's me. I'm your chair and glad to be serving in this role. Next, we have Jose Hardy. He's an electronics telecommunication engineer. Thank you, Commissioner Hardy, for being with us. Then we have Rudy Becerra. He's Senior Vice President for Latin American Affairs at Venture, where he leads the organization growth in the Latino market. Next. We have Axa M. Pasco. She's the Director of Civic Engagement and Advocacy at the Latin American Association. Commissioner Cruz, who's the owner and founder of Cruz and Associates. Then we have Rabbi Josh Hirschen. He's a rabbi here in the city of Brookhaven and the leader of a synagogue, which is here in Brookhaven. Then we have Reverend Dr. David Alexander, who brought us our moment of inspiration and reflection today. Thank you, Commissioner Alexander. He's a 16-year ordained minister with Centers for Spiritual Living. Then we have Chris Corses Zimmerman. He's an educator who studies and teaches about race, racism, and whiteness in the United States education system. Then we have Danita V. Knight. She's the Vice President for Communications and Marketing at Agnes Scott College. We have Commissioner Monique Wright Hudson. She's an attorney who appropriately referred to as a counselor. We have Commissioner Melissa Owen. She's a faculty at Neil Hodgson Woodruff School of Nursing at Emory University. And she is also the associate professor and the assistant dean for pre-licensure programs. We have Commissioner Janice. She told me her last, can you pronounce your last name again? Nise? She's retired. She retired the summer of 2015, and she said her working career was varied before that with 11-year interlude for an at-home mothering. Commissioner Kirk Nelson, we'll introduce him next month. Commissioner Lauren Collins, he's an attorney and a mediator. Commissioner Sharok Arif, he's the head of product at a small startup called Flash Track. Commissioner Charlene Bowden, she's a small business owner and a passionate minister and leader who focuses on building relationships by creating opportunities to invoke honest and transparent conversations. Commissioner James Dale Moses, he is a retired IRS taxpayer. Then we have Commissioner Karen Curiello. She's currently retired legal and technology services marketing executive who has worked in a variety of executive sales, client services, and management positions. Commissioner Connie C. Todd. She is co-principal at Clearwater Consulting Group, and she is in the area of leadership consulting. Commissioner Davis I. Burnett. His profession and passion are combined in a simple reply when asked, what it is I do in life. I strive to help others be better than they were yesterday. Commissioner Tawana Minor. She's a senior HR leader with over 20 years of experience across the human capital, financial services, and logistics industries. Commissioner Annabelle Torres, from 2015 to July of 2020, he served as the executive director for the Latin American Association, and he put in parentheses, retired. Commissioner Amy W. Korn, as a global communication thought leader in technology-enabled industries, she defined, developed, and execute strategic programs flawlessly to achieve transformational growth based on metrics-driven results. Commissioner Thomas S. Woodward. He's a semi-retired architect and a part-time volunteer for a number of community organizations. Commissioner William Naglish. He's an attorney, friendship, learning, understanding, justice, service, grace. I think that's the last, oh, one more. Commissioner Catherine K. Murthy-Wall, to help others identify their gifts and transform our community to encourage everyone I interact with on a daily basis to better themselves. Commissioner Venner Kane, Commissioner Marco Palmer, Commissioner Renee Alvarez, I'm a social justice advocate and skills-based educator working as the Director of Academic Success and advising at Oglethorpe University. Commissioner William Alex Thomas. He works in higher education, currently at Georgia State University. Commissioner Matthew Petzold. He is military U.S. Air Force officer and a pilot for a major airline. Commissioner Jeremiah Henson. He currently works for the Salvation Army, running a day center for the homeless population of Brookhaven. Commissioner Tiffany Russell. She's the Director of Diversity and Inclusion at St. Martin Episcopal School. Commissioner Beth Window. She's a minister. Commissioner Kathy L. Wells. She's an educator, administrator, student, community leader and activist, education consultant, and entrepreneur. Commissioner German Barada. He's an entrepreneur. Commissioner Muhammad Zaki Arifullah. He's senior manager at Ernst & Young, data and analytics.
And I think that is where we will stop for now.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So let me go into the next agenda item to talk a bit about the Social Justice, Race, and Equity Commission purpose. The city of Brookhaven became a welcoming city on October 10th of 2017 to demonstrate best practices in developing plans and policies that encourages newcomers and long-time residents to participate in social, civic, and economic endeavors while highlighting the importance of being an inclusive city. The commission, we will review the City of Brookhaven vision and mission statements, the city charter, as well as policies and procedures to assess for inherent biases. This commission will review and assess the City of Brookhaven public engagement and communications to ensure all city residents and businesses can engage their government effectively and that information is shared equally. This commission will also review and assess the Brookhaven Police Department's continuum of force policy, oversight, and accountability. So commissioners, we have quite a bit of work to do over the next 11, 12, 14 months, whatever it works out to be. The work of this commission will include extensive, innovative input from the public. Throughout the year and our work plan, there will be numerous opportunities for public input on topical areas. If we are to be a success, we need public input. So throughout the year, we're going to have some really engaging conversations with the public, both at this meeting and in other settings. This commission at the onset will be working over the next year or so. And because of the amount of work that's going to be required, we will be creating subcommittees that will work on topical areas simultaneously. Thus far, there will be a subcommittee for vision and mission statements, procurement, hiring, and the police department continuum of force policy, oversight, and accountability. As we work within a subcommittee structure, all output will come back before this full commission. And let me add, just because we're going to be reviewing and analyzing these areas, it doesn't conclude that there's an issue, a problem within these areas. As a young city, this is a great exercise to review, analyze, and improve how we as a city handle matters that aligns with social justice, race, and equity to remain as a great city and a sustainable city. Any questions, Commissioner? I just wanted to go through that, just to go through the purpose. Please, please, please ask questions if you have any questions. Don't see any hand raised. So we're going to move on the agenda item. The next item on the agenda I would like to introduce to you our City Attorney, Chris Balk, and he will provide Commission legal overview. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. And let me add my voice of thanks to each of you for your volunteering and participation. Melissa, have you added me as a co-host so I can share my screen? You have. Thank you, ma'am. Make sure I remember how to do this. Sorry. All right. So we're going to talk about a couple of areas of law tonight. And as I was joking with the chairman before the meeting began, this presentation is typically 60 minutes. It will not be 60 minutes tonight, I promise. The city manager will cut me off if I go longer than my allotted time. So we're going to go through this very quickly. I believe that the communications department, either Burke Brennan or Jalissa, will be providing a copy of the slide deck when we're done. So if you have questions, my contact information is at the end of the presentation, and you'll be able to ask whatever questions that you may have. We're going to start off talking about the Open Meetings Act. The Open Meetings Act is part of the Georgia Sunshine Laws, which allows people to understand you and participate in the public's business. The Open Records Act will apply not just to the full commission membership and meetings, but also to all of your subcommittees. So all of your subcommittees, as you are organized and proceed, will need to make sure to follow these rules as well. So a meeting is defined in the Act as a gathering of a quorum of the commission or the body for the purpose of discussing these business, policy, or other public matter, and where those matters are going to be discussed, formulated, presented, or voted on. So there's a pretty broad definition of what constitutes a meeting. Pretty much any time a quorum of you get together that is more than 50%. So if you've got a subcommittee of 5, if 3 of you are together, then that is a quorum and that constitutes a meeting under the Act. An email string is one of the changes that was made to the Act several years ago. Used to be the rule that emails could be a meeting if everybody was copied that was up to a quorum. That is no longer the case. So emails do not constitute a public meeting, but we'll talk more about emails in a few minutes and whether or not you ought to use them routinely for discussing issues related to the commission's work. Conference calls. Ordinarily, when there's not a pandemic going on and not a state of emergency declared within the city of Brookhaven or the state of Georgia, all meetings have to be in person. You can participate virtually, even with in-person meetings, but you can only do so a few times per year, and your presence virtually does not count towards the quorum. So if your committee under normal circumstances were 7 people and you had to have 4 people physically present to proceed with the work of the committee, and you only had 3 people physically present and 1 person online, that person would not count and you would not have a quorum and you could not do the work. While we are in the state of emergency and the city's declaration ordinance for a state of emergency, all of your meetings will be virtual on Zoom or by telephone conference call. We just need to be able to provide access for people to dial in and to listen and to provide meaningful public comment to all of those programs. All of your meetings have to be advertised. There has to be an agenda published at City Hall. We have to notify the media, and to the extent possible, we put that agenda online for people to know what's going on. This is a very important part of the Open Meetings Act. It's so that the people understand what the business of the city is going to be, what the commission, committee, or council is going to consider, discuss, or vote on. So important notices are the publication and advertising of those agendas as we go from meeting to meeting. As you may have read in the media back before COVID, There was the one and only prosecution under the Sunshine Laws in Fulton County related to the city of Atlanta. It is a misdemeanor to violate the Open Meetings Act. You can go to jail. There's also fines and penalties if the Open Meetings Act is violated. We work very hard in Brookhaven to make sure that that doesn't ever happen. But if it does happen, then we'll have a very different conversation, you and I. Public records is the next thing we're going to cover. Again, the Act provides for a very broad definition of what a public record. You can see from all the lawyerese on the screen that it covers just about any tangible paper item that is a document or record. But it also covers and includes computer-based or generated information. And it covers private people in the performance of a service or function for or on behalf of the agency. What's that mean to each of you? It means that all of the papers that you have in hand, your applications, all of the information related to your service, all of the information that you get from various speakers or presenters, all of the data and written documents are all public records. And if someone were to send the city an Open Records Act saying, hi, we'd like to have everything that Mr. Bashara has said or done or emailed about concerning the Social Justice, Race and Equity Commission, then we would be in touch with Mr. Bashara to get all that data from him. And Mr. Bashara, I'm not picking on you. You just happen to be the third screen on my call down and happened to look over, and that's who I saw. So it also applies, if you remember the computer-based or generated information, this also applies to social media and text messages and emails. So let's talk about social media specifically for a second, because there's two pieces of that that become important. And I'm going to digress just for a second and provide a very high level constitutional discussion. Within the First Amendment, which only applies to governments, it doesn't ordinarily apply to individuals. Once you step into a role as a member of the commission, you now wear two hats. You wear your private hat, the ones you have at home, whether you're mom, dad, sister, brother, son, daughter, what have you. And then you have your public hat, the one that becomes an agent and representative of the city of Brookhaven. If you have a private social media account that you use on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or what have you, what you say in your private Facebook chat remains private as long as you don't talk about the Social Justice, Race and Equity Commission. If you start talking about your work or you comment on someone else's Facebook page or their Twitter feed or their Instagram account about the work of the commission, you have then merged your two worlds. You have merged your two hats into a single entity. And it becomes much more difficult to unmerge those two hats once that happens. If you want to create a page where you can talk about the work of the commission and you want to talk about or tweet about or Instagram about the work of the commission, I would encourage you to create a new page that is called the Commissioner John Funny SJREC page. That could be a business page linked to your personal page, but that public page then becomes the place where people can communicate with you wearing only your public hat. And the reason that those two things are different is that the courts around the country have generally held that if you're a public figure and a public official and you use your personal email account or your personal Twitter account or your personal Facebook account to talk about things related to your public self, your private account becomes a public forum. It becomes like a park or the courthouse steps or the front of City Hall. It is a place where the First Amendment applies with extra rigor and with extra protection to the right of people to participate, to provide feedback, and to speak their minds without government censorship or limitation. So what you do when you take your social media and you create your personal account and you then use it in your public house is you create a situation where people can provide you feedback that you may not want on your personal feed. But the First Amendment of the United States, as interpreted by the courts of appeal around the country, says that you can't block those folks. You can't keep them from cluttering up your feed with whatever it is they want to say. You can't kick them out of your space. So if you want to keep your space safe and you want to keep your space structured solely for those people who are your friends and family now, then you need to make sure that you keep your social media separate. The other part of this issue really deals directly with the Open Records Act part of this, that computer-based or computer-generated data. If you have a post on Facebook or Twitter or on Instagram or on TikTok or wherever else, then that post becomes part of a potential Open Records Act production. So when we get that request for all the information that Mr. Bashara has shared with his friends, colleagues, and acquaintances across social media, all of his posts become something we have to produce in response to that request. So if there's a lesson in these two pieces of this conversation, it is keep your public life and your private life separate. If your public life invades your private life, then your private life may not be able to disengage the two pieces and move on. So what are the best practices that you need to do? This slide pretty much says it all. I'm not going to do everything or go through all of these little bullets. And yes, I do realize that save everything and don't delete anything are the same thing, but sometimes people hear those instructions differently and they matter. So forgive a lawyer dotting his I's and crossing his T's different ways, but effectively, if you do work for the commission, you need to have a place on your computer where you save that work. You need to save the drafts of your work. You need to save your emails in a separate place in your email client related to Brookhaven work. I would ask that you not use text messages to do Brookhaven work, because then we've got to take your phone to the police department, have them hook it up to a machine that allows the police department to download all of the text messages in your phone, and then we have to sort through all of your text messages to find out the pieces that have to be produced in response to an Open Records Act request. So if you use text messaging, just realize that at some point in this process, you may get a call from me or you may get a call from the city clerk saying, please provide us your phone on this day and time at the police department so we can respond to this request. I don't want to have to do that, so please don't text. This is even more important than don't text and drive. The Attorney General's office acts as the referee for Open Records Act and Open Meetings Act complaints. We don't like getting these letters. The City Council has a policy of exceeding the letter of the Open Meetings Act and the Open Records Act, and providing as much transparency as the law, actually more transparency than the law requires, for how we're going about things and how we're doing things within city government. So that's going to apply, that policy will apply to this commission as well. So the goal here is to make sure that the AG's office never has to contact me about anything that this commission is doing. Again, thank you for your service. I know that, excuse me, I know that was a lot of information in a very short period of time, but I appreciate your attention and I'm happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners may have. John, you're muted, dude.
Thank you. Thank you. Any question for our city attorney? And thank you, Chris, for really going through that discussion. Any question for our city attorney?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
My name is Renee Alvarez. And so when you say posting to social media, there was a news article that came out in the AGC that I posted. Does that count for open records?
I hate to give you a lawyer answer, Mr. Alvarez, but it depends. What I would suggest to you in the future is if you will create a separate account for things that are related to your commissioner's role. That's the cleanest way to solve this. As it relates to what you did before tonight's meeting, before you actually we convened the commission and you were trained on these issues, I think I can make a good faith, straight-faced argument that innocent mistakes happen. But what it does mean is that I will make a note that if we get an Open Records Act request for anything posted to social media, that I will follow up with you about what you may have done. So thank you for telling me about that. I did do that.
Any other questions? This is very important, so I want to make sure that if commissions have questions for our attorney, or if there are questions in the future, you have his contact information. I think it's always best to contact the lawyer and not the lawyer contacting you. All right, thank you. Thank you, Kristen. Sorry, Chris. And now we're going to go to Kristen Sigmund, our city manager, and he's going to talk a bit about our city operation. Kristen?
Thank you, Chairman. Funny, I will keep it really brief in the interest of time. Chris's presentation is important. In all my years, I've never seen anybody arrested for these things, but it can be extremely embarrassing for the city and folks individually when your individual texts and personal texts end up out in a public document. So it is a serious matter, but after you've done this a week or so, you'll realize you know how to draw the boundaries. Julissa, would you bring up the org chart, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So the city of Brookhaven is a charter formed city, which, like a private corporation, we have a charter. It's chartered through the state, and it tells us exactly what we can do and what we can't do. And our board of directors is the city council, and our chairman is the mayor. I'm appointed by the city council to do the day-to-day operations of the city, implement their policies, follow the charter. And these are our major departments. We are a limited service city. As you can see here, what you don't see on here is we don't have a fire department. We don't have an emergency medical department. We don't run a library or schools. We don't pick up trash. But these are the departments that report to me, and this is our staffing. About 168 full-time staff and part-time staff of 11.6. But that's also supported by vendors and contractors. And as you can see, our entire public works department is a vendor, which about 22 people working in the public works department. And then we have hybrids of vendors across various other agencies. We work off an annual fiscal year budget. I present a budget to the city council in the first part of October. They typically approve it right before Thanksgiving for the fiscal year that begins on January 1. When I prepare a budget, I typically follow our master plans. The city has conducted 9 different master planning exercises that include land use and transportation and sidewalks and all kinds of other things. And the council hears me say this all the time. If it's not in the master plan, it typically doesn't end up in the budget. I'm the lunchbox person, come to work every day. We work 24/7, the city never sleeps. So you can call me anytime, literally. And there are a few other department heads that I put that privilege on as well. We have policies for just about everything, just like any other organization, which includes hiring and procurement and financing and investment and debt and all those types of things. We have payroll and insurance and risk management and workers' comp, just like anybody else. But we get to do a lot of varied things. You can see from our boxes here, we have a wide range of mission responsibilities, and supporting commissions and boards is one of those. The city staff supports the Planning Commission, the Board of Appeals, the Arts Advisory Commission, the Affordable Housing Commission. So this is just another commission that we have, but this one by far, I believe, is the most important. It's definitely the largest one we've had, and it's a very, very strong group that we have here. Once again, the entire city organization that work through me are available to assist you in your effort, and you'll get to know a lot more about how the city is run in the coming meetings. So thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. And I would be remiss if I do not say that again, the city of Brookhaven have an outstanding team of leaders that work constantly to make sure that we're on the cutting edge of what we're doing and providing services to the citizens. So thank you, Mr. Sigmund, for your leadership. And thank you for pulling together a great team of leaders to support the actual activities that goes on. Jalissa is supporting us, and she's been very great with supporting. And Jalissa, being on the Planning Commission, don't tell Patrice, but you guys are outstanding. Now, I'm gonna have to explain to Patrice that comment, but everyone is great. Everyone supports us really well, both from the Planning Commission perspective and for this commission. Next up, I'm going to talk a bit about understanding the landscape of the city of Brookhaven. As we are embarking upon this initiative, Leslie and Valerie and Mr. Sigmund, we got together and discussed, in order to move forward, we have to really discuss what's the landscape of Brookhaven, who lives here, who works here, who eats here, who dines here, who plays here. So we wanted to give you a quick overview. This is the first meeting, but we want to give you a quick overview of a snapshot of the city of Brookhaven, so that as Leslie come up a little later, and she's going to give us some homework, get us prepared for the next meeting, we would have covered our bases to give you an introduction of the city of Brookhaven. Jalissa, can you share the screen, please? Put the PowerPoint up. Thank you, thank you. City of Brookhaven was established December 17th, 2012. Exactly to the date today. Just thought about that. And it's DeKalb County's most populous city. We have 4 districts in the city. So there's a council person per district, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we have our mayor. So the colors that you see on the map there actually divides the different districts of the city. The population in Brookhaven, we have 48.3 females in the city of Brookhaven and 51.7 males. The ethnicity and race, we have 53% white, 10% Black or African American, 5% Asian, 30% Hispanic or Latino, and 2% other. And I didn't see the total population, but just to let you know what the total population is, it's roughly about 55,000 citizens within the city of Brookhaven. We just did the census and we're waiting on the updates, but it's in that approximate range, 55,000. Thank you.
12th, 13th largest city in the state of Georgia. There you go.
Say it again.
We're the 12th or 13th largest city in the state of Georgia.
12th or 13th, very good. Awesome. So we're a very populated city, as we mentioned earlier. Brookhaven City Council and Mayor, as I mentioned earlier, we have 4 councilperson and mayor. We have 2 females on the city council and 3 males. The ethnicity and race, we have 3 white councilperson and 1 Asian. Staff demographics. Here's how we look. When you look at the staff at the city of Brookhaven, gender, we have 36% female, 63% male. We have 0.6 who did not wish to self-identify. And then as we look at the race and the ethnicity of the demographics of the city staff, we have 52.5% white, 26.9% Black or African American, 2.5% Asian, 15% Hispanic or Latino, and then we have 0.6% Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islanders. And then we have 1.3% where they classify with 2 or more races. And then we have 1.3% who wish not to self-identify. When we look at city management, we have 38.5% female, 61.5% male. And when we look at the race and ethnicity of our city management, we have 76.9% white and 23% Black or African American. Brookhaven Police Department demographics. And I would share with you, it's one of the most diverse police agency in the state of Georgia. And I say that because I serve on the board, on the Brookhaven Police Foundation board, and I get to see our officers constantly and the great work that they're doing in our communities. Gender-wise, we have 26% females on the police force and 74% male. Ethnicity-wise, we have 53% white, 23% Black African-American, 3% Asian, 19% Hispanic Latino, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islanders, 1%. And then we have 1% of the population of our police department that identifies with 2 or more races. So this is a very good mix based upon the population here in the city of Brookhaven. So Jalissa and her team, the communications team, and other city personnel have worked extremely hard to put together a wonderful website. This website have a host of information that's readily available to you at your fingertips. And as Valerie spoke earlier, she talked about the different resources. We're gonna, probably be pulling a lot of resources from her and putting it out here so that you as a commissioner or the public can go and look at information that's actually out on the website. So I ask each of you to please visit the website, get to know what's on there, and be able to talk about it to people within our communities so that they will know where to go to find information as it relates to the Social Justice, Race and Equity Commission. Okay, so that was the landscape of Brookhaven. Any question from any of the commissioners, and we'll make sure Mr. Sigmund answer your question.
There were some questions on chat too. Just make sure that those are answered too. I just want to make sure.
All right.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I've been trying to answer them as we go.
So you've been catching them, Mr. Sigmund?
Yes, I'm trying.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Seeing no question, not hearing any question, we're going to go to the next agenda item. And at this point, it's really good to have this facilitator because as Mr. Sigmund said earlier, we need to stay focused on the work that we're doing. And sometimes we get very conversational, but Leslie's job is to not only facilitate and drive the direction of this commission, but she's going to keep us on track. So thank you, Leslie, for being with us. Thank you for committing to assist in the city of Brookhaven with this very important topic. And we appreciate you lending your service from your years of experience. And I don't say that to say years as in older, but just years of experience in dealing in public spaces to have these dialogues within different arenas. So thank you for being with us. So Leslie's going to come now and she's going to talk about the phases of work and the timeline.
Thank you, Chairman Funny. I have to begin by saying it has got to mean something that we are meeting here on December 17th. And that was the date Brookhaven was started. I don't know what it means, but I just find that fascinating. So again, it's just such a pleasure to be with you this evening. And I'm going to ask Jalissa if she could pull up our PowerPoint, but I'll just start speaking with you. So I feel like before we move into the phases, I want to share a little bit about our approach to the work. At Chrysalis Lab, we believe that social problems require social solutions, right? And so to drive those sustainable solutions, we try to create the conditions that embrace both deep analysis, but also creative openness. And so in this partnership with the Commission and with the City of Brookhaven, we're committed to fostering authentic dialogue, some meaningful learning opportunities, and then values-driven solutions. And to do that by being efficient with your time and respecting your experiences and desires, and grounding in this work. We've been through a year. And we feel like this inflection point and this commission is an example for us to really transform not only the work that we do, but our interactions with one another. So all of the appointed, elected leadership in Brookhaven and the volunteers such as yourself will spend the next year in a shared experience as you search for solutions that move us towards social harmony, and doing this by placing racial equity and social justice at the cornerstone of what you seek to achieve. So all of you received the commission work plan, and I'll share with you with using our crystal ball and our best effort, we attempted to logically work through how this thing can unfold in a productive way. But we're real clear that this is your commission and it needs to be your plan. And so throughout the process, we're going to ensure that we're progressing in a way that meets the commission's needs. If you can take me next, Jalissa. So we've shaped our yearly agenda in an acronym of GOAL, G-O-A-L. And the first phase of that is grounding. That'll take place in the first quarter of 2021. And it really is about figuring out how we got here, learning together about how we got here, what are the issues that we're facing, and more about Brookhaven history and demographics. So really getting grounded in the data. Also developing a shared understanding and language. You know, what do we mean when we say equity? That matters, right? So as we begin to do our work and to have the conversations and to look at our vision and mission, we need to understand and have a shared language. And then to launch a community-wide survey, just to understand what people are thinking and feeling, all residents of Brookhaven. The second phase to take place the second quarter of 2021 is organizing. And so we'll figure out then how we structure ourselves for the work. You know, what are the key roles? Who are the key stakeholders? We'll activate our subcommittees and get moving and work with the expert and professional staff liaisons that Christian's going to assign to really start to understand what the issues are, what the data is, and what best practices are. And then we'll also brainstorm some really creative community engagement opportunities. So we've got a survey, there's some basic ones, folks can come and talk for a few minutes to us, but how can we really creatively get community input from all segments of the community? The third phase is aligning. And that really is about gaining not only public input, but those community engagement opportunities. That's about identifying the themes, right? The priorities which in each of these areas that we want to begin to shape towards action. We can't boil the ocean. So what are those real priority areas that we can have an impact on, that we can see progress in? And we'll identify the criteria for what becomes a priority. And then we'll start to connect and identify community partners, because we're going to be thinking ahead to what it takes to implement the recommendations, so that we can give not only recommendations, but some thinking about the how it can be done in that fourth quarter, which is the leading portion. And there we'll be developing the recommendations for consideration for the full commission and to the mayor and city council, as well as an action plan. But even and probably most importantly, really establishing paths for ongoing public input and community engagement, so that we don't start something here that we won't all be able to continue, and make sure that people can continue to be engaged in. So I think now I turn it back over to you.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Any question for Leslie? Any questions for Leslie? Okay, Leslie, that means you did a heck of a job. No question. Thank you. No, but that was very detailed. And thank you for walking us through those 4 phases, because I really want the subcommittees, when they are formed, they're going to be working on tackling some of those issues following the format that Leslie has put forward to us. So thank you, Leslie, for developing that with your team and presenting that this evening.
John?
Yes, sir.
I think Karen might have a question.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, please interrupt me if I do not see the hand. Karen, go ahead and identify yourself, please.
Yeah, Karen Carello. And having spent my career in marketing, I'm sensitive to non-respondent bias. And so we have a big chunk of our population, 31%, if I recall the slide, that is Latin. And I just want to make sure, I want to understand if we have plans in place, or we're working to get plans in place to try to make sure that we have a representative, our survey population response is representative of that, of a population that's going to be difficult to survey. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. That's a wonderful question. And yes, we do have a translator that will be available to produce and duplicate the items that's produced in English. It will also be produced in Spanish. We strategically identify, being that you're right, the Hispanic Latino population is a large, very important population here in the city of Brookhaven. So we've identified members of this commission that really have a great reach into the community. From a business perspective, we have our former executive director from the Latin American Association. So you're exactly right on, Karen. Those are things that we want to pay attention to. But I'm going to challenge each commissioner, ask those prying questions just like that, because we want to make sure we're doing it right. We want to make sure that we're covering our bases. But thank you, Karen, for your question.
And John, if I could amplify,
Sure.
Axia Pascal is actually on the commission and on the call tonight. She runs the engagement program for the Latin American Association. So she'll be a huge resource. And she has been a consultant to the city in the past on those matters. So, and you combine that with the creativity that we're going to get from Chris's lab and the Kettering Foundation on the ways and the venues, and then you can put the language and culture on top of that. I think we'll have a very robust input process.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you. Any other questions from any other commissioner? Okay, Jalissa, it's currently 8:21. We're going to go into the public comment section. And, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Corn.
Hi, thank you. We have primarily been talking about race and ethnicity. Are we going to include, or how can we include, gender and sexual orientation diversity in this discussion? I haven't heard any reference yet from an LGBTQ community. And so I just want to make sure that we are inclusive, not only from a race and ethnicity and gender, but also from the community as a whole.
Okay, very good point. And
I think that's a very important question beyond just the technical matters of input. But one of the subcommittees and one of the early challenges or charges of the group will be to review the city's vision and mission statement, which is now approaching 9 years old, or exactly 8 years old, I'm sorry. And when it was written, I wasn't here, the mayor wasn't here. And are there words in there that are, for lack of a better term, a dog whistle? Are there words not in there that should be in there? And I think the types of questions that your question, Amy, is as we do our work across reviewing our organization in our city and how we do our work and how we interact with our public, are we touching everybody? And the everybody is going to be a fun exercise to define and reach and challenge ourselves to walk in those shoes. So thank you for asking that.
yes, really, really important point, because we want to look at the community at large. And as Mr. Sigmund said, everyone needs to be included. So we definitely will make note of that. And that will be a discussion that comes up, as we look at the topic areas. Thank you, Commissioner Corn. Any other questions from the commissioner before I open it up for public comments? Let me check to make sure there's no hand raised from the commissioners. I don't see any hand raised. So at this time, I will open the meeting up for public comments. Anyone who is attending tonight, you may have 3 minutes to speak. And Jalissa has a timer and she's going to keep us at 30 minutes.
Yes, so as the chairman said, if anybody would like to speak, they can raise their hand on the Zoom chat. They can also email us at publiccomment@brookhavenga.gov. I have my timer, and if you are approaching the end of your 15 minutes, I will ding a bell at about 15 seconds. That kinda sounds like this. So that your time's almost up, but let's just keep in mind to be respectful of everybody's time. At this moment, I do not see any public comment questions on the Zoom chat, but for our attendees, please let us know if you want to speak. And so far, we do not have any emails on the public comment email, but I will ask again to the attendees if they want to speak or have any comments. They're welcome to do so at this time.
Would you invite our Spanish speakers to do the same in Spanish, please?
Yes. En este momento tenemos tiempo para comentarios públicos, así que si usted gusta hacer un comentario, lo puede hacer en este momento. Deje que nosotros sepamos que quiere hacer ese comentario poniendo algún mensaje en el chat de Zoom o mandándonos un correo electrónico a publiccomment@brookhavenga.gov. Yo les puedo traducir y como dije anteriormente, cada persona tiene 3 minutos y cuando les falten como unos 15 segundos para el tiempo de su comentario, yo les daré como un sonido de advertencia.
Thank you, Jalicia. I should respond in Spanish, huh? Okay, that was great. Thank you. See, did we get any comments from any of our Spanish speaking? No? Okay.
No.
Julissa, is there a mechanism for people through Facebook who are watching it to acknowledge that they want to comment? I am technically illiterate, but is there any expectation in the Facebook front?
Right now, we don't have any public comment on Facebook either, like any comments or anything.
Thank you.
Okay, good. So we've covered the public comment session. At this time, I'm going to close the public comments because we have no one who wishes to speak. And then we're going to move to back to Leslie, and she's going to cue us up for our next meeting to tell us what's ahead. Leslie?
Thank you. So, Jalissa, we're not going to pull up the PowerPoint. I think we can talk through this one. Thank you so much. So first of all, between now and January 21, we want you to begin by celebrating in whatever your spiritual, familial, sacred traditions are during this time. We also want you to get a lot of rest because there's a lot of work before us to do beginning next year. But what you can expect to happen is we will be sending out a 15 to 20 minute survey to all of the commission members. And we want to get a sense of, first of all, how you'd like to work together, some of the logistics, timing and so forth, not about when we meet, but about how we meet, the subcommittees, how much time you'd be willing and able to give and so forth. We also want to hear from you about your social justice, race, and equity related experiences and priorities. You know, where are you coming from in that? What do you feel the priorities are? Just get a sense of that for you. And then we want to go a little deeper in the subcommittees, understand where your interests are, how you want to lead and so forth, because when we come together in January, we'd like to make some movement on that. We'll also be sending a little bit of homework, light assignment, just to prepare us for the January meeting. And in fact, homework might get to be a part of all of these. It's going to be a wonderful opportunity to manage such big issues, you know, on Zoom, you know, for the next year. And so we're going to ask that we'll give you homework. It never will be very long or very much. We'll use as many videos and multimedia as possible, but to really have you think so that when we come together as a group and even in our subcommittees that we're prepared and ready for dialogue. So those are the two pieces that you can expect before we meet again in January.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking forward to my homework. So we're excited.
You must have been a good student.
We're excited to be here, and I think this is really a great step forward for the city of Brookhaven. Any questions at this point? We are at 8:29. I promised Kristen that we'll be done in 90 minutes, and we are on target. Any questions from anyone? Any commissioners? Do you have any questions? You know how to reach me if you have any questions, or just make sure that you send me an email, not from your private email. I think Chris Balk did a good job of segregating the different email systems. So yeah, just communicate with me if you have any questions. My cell phone number is 404-754-3042. Again, 404-754-3042. And if there's no other commission business.
Mr. Funny, I believe Tawana raised her hand. Did I see that?
Yeah, so it's just a really quick question.
Oh, you're good.
No worries. I just wanted to understand what are the next steps as far as the subcommittees are concerned, and what do you need from us?
Yeah, good question. So I'll be getting with Leslie and Valerie and Kristen, and we're going to actually go through and assign subcommittee members. We ask that if you're interested in working on a specific subcommittee, email that in to us, please. Let us know which subcommittee you would like to work on. We're going to do our best to have a balanced subcommittee. We don't want 12 people on one and 2 on the other. So we're going to try to meet your wishes. But if we have to shift you from one to another, please work with us on that. And then we're going to also assign the leadership for the subcommittees as well. We're going to get more information at our next meeting on the working of the subcommittee, but that gives you an idea of how we're going to get started with the subcommittee. Leslie or Kristen, did I leave anything out?
No, I would just stress we're going to use the website as a kind of a repository for a lot of information. If you want to get some really good ideas, what we're going through here in Brookhaven, the entire society is going through, public, private, nonprofit, family level, corporation level, we're all going through this. And we've included some links on the Social Justice, Race, and Equity Commission website to other organizations that have some really good tools and ideas. Some of them are professional organizations in city management. Others are actual think tanks. There's some really good stuff that's being done out there. And we'll be relying on a lot of that. So if you want some grounding in how other organizations, public and private, are approaching the discussions we're about to begin, there's some really good stuff out there.
Thank you, Mr. Sigmund. Any other questions? Anyone in the chat? I think we covered it all. We went over because Mr. Sigmund was speaking. No, it's all good. We felt that this first meeting was very important to make sure we cover a lot of grounds so that you can, have an opportunity to get engaged and understand how we will be functioning as a commission. And as I said, the subcommittee is where a lot of the work is going to happen. So we're really excited to have that structure to come on when we talk about it at the January meeting. If all minds are clear, I will entertain a motion for the adjournment.
Motion, Aníbal Torres.
Thank you, Commissioner Torres. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
And that would be Commissioner Thomas. Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries.
Aye.
I'm not going to ask for the nay because we're not going to stay on. All right. Thank everyone. Happy holidays to each of you, and looking forward to working with each of you.
Great meeting.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Take care.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Everyone, thank you.
Thank you.
Feliz Navidad.
Thank you. Commissioner
Christmas.
Torres.